Today I'm talking to Charlie, the CEO of the Student Hotel and also the founder of Movement on the Ground, who's live in Lesbos right behind me, and Adil, head of mission, live from the headquarters in Amsterdam. Welcome, guys. Because a fire turned Camp Moria completely into ashes 2 weeks ago on the 9th of the 8th and the 9th September. Luckily, no one got serious wounded. However, a complete chaos was the result, with having 13,000 refugees from one night to the other completely without shelter. In the days after, also European political discussions started about the dreadful situation happening in Moria already for years, and also the actuality with a humanitarian catastrophe with so many people on the streets at this moment. And then the Netherlands, who confirmed to pick up 100 unoccupied children, a number that is deducted from the regular number that the Netherlands was already about to pick up in 2020. So we all understand there is a lot to discuss with these guys today. And for you guys watching at home or watching at your home offices, please feel free to drop your questions in the chat box right below, and I will ask the questions to the guys. Hello, guys. Good afternoon. First, going to start with Charlie in Lesbos. Well, burned to ashes. There's no lie about that. You're now in the former Camp Moria. Before we go to the recent developments and of course, what Movement on the Ground is doing, Charlie, how is it going there now? What's the situation in Lesbos at this moment?
The situation in Lesbos. We see that Moria camp was indeed burnt to the ground, burnt to ashes. I'm standing now in the olive grove, which was the part the Movement on the Ground was responsible for. And basically, you have the main camp where there was enough capacity for just over 2,500 people, and next to it was an old olive grove, basically a big hill that ran up and wrapped around the side of the camp. And we rented that land a number of years ago, and we implemented a big landscaping program together with the community here, and 3,000 people were living here. Of course, that burnt down 2 weeks ago. As you saw on the pictures, and as the team here were experiencing firsthand, the 13,000 residents of the entire camp fled. They were literally sleeping on the road behind me, all the way down to Mytilene, which is the main city in Lesbos here. So the situation was dire. Situation today is that they have the government have used an army base as a temporary camp, where the temporary turns into permanent, or we don't know, but certainly for the winter, to house the people that were forced to flee the fire. There's been a number of thousands of people, I think just around 3,000 people who have already been evacuated to the mainland. That's mainly the unaccompanied minors and severely ill or handicapped persons, and there will be more being evacuated in the coming weeks. That's the situation today.
And then back to Moria, what was it kind of place? We see some pictures now also, our audience seeing some pictures there. What was it kind of camp before?
Yeah, Lucien, we've been coming here for 5 years, and the reason why I'm part of the movement team was because Adil made the move with the other co-founder Johnny to come to Lesbos to help people off the beaches onto the boats, and I saw them and I joined them pretty quickly, and that's why we started together with 5 of us, Movement on the Ground. You know, Moria camp was infamous 5 years ago. It became more and more infamous as conditions got worse and worse. The numbers have not gone down since those days 5 years ago. The numbers of residents here have gone up. So Moria was known as sort of the biggest camp in Europe, the worst camp, maybe one of the worst camps in the world, and the nickname was Hell on Earth here. It was absolutely atrocious. The living conditions, especially where we were outside the camp, were really insane. This is where people came to do the toilet. Some people even said that this place was better than the camp inside because you had at least a bit more free space. But the Moria camp was and is a scandalous situation for all of us. It was a terrible environment, and it should never ever be allowed to happen again. where we are today and what we try to do and what we've been doing here for the last 4 years is trying to introduce, or we have introduced, a community program, and together with landscaping and facilities. So really improving the physical ground where people can sleep on flat ground, draining water, that's okay for the winter. And of course, on top of that, all the community activities that brings everybody together to try and make life here a little bit bearable. And here was, in comparison to the rest of Moria, this was a little oasis. This was really, you walked in here and you felt the peace and the quiet, and this felt really, this felt, yeah, it's still a
Can
pretty
you
horrible
show
place
us?
to
Can
be.
you turn the camera a bit so we can get a bit of an
Yeah.
idea where you are right now?
So where am I? Let's see. So you can see behind me, this was the community area, this whole space behind me. This was the little community tent. You see here, we've got cabins. You can just see the green porta cabin in the back. That was our woodwork and metalwork yard, where the community made all this. You start to see the walls and the terraces where we flattened the ground. This was done with local contractors and with the community. You see the fireboxes there. You've got solar panels, lighting, infrastructure, little ovens and steps. And these terraces, this terrace behind me was where the tents were placed. So people were coming out in front of their tents, etc., and they would have a little bit of space and they could walk to the side. But as you can see, I've been here a couple of times this week, and it breaks my heart, to be honest, to see it like this. The team here, we put a lot of effort in it. The community are pretty sad that this has happened. But I think you'll hear probably a few times throughout this. It's something that we, as many other NGOs, have been warning about for many, many years. This was a tinderbox ready to go up in flames at any moment because of the conditions here.
So by the time that was happening, it was also not a surprise that this was happening for you guys.
Yeah, it's always a surprise. I think Adil called me and said, by the way, Moria is on flames. And of course, your heart goes in your mouth. And, it is, you mentioned it earlier, it's a miracle that nobody was killed or injured here. I still can't comprehend it. Walking through the destruction, the wind was really going wild that night. There was coincidentally or not, we don't know, but there was a fire on the northern side of the island. So it took a long time before the fire trucks came here. Everything was lined up for this catastrophe to happen, unfortunately. And
now more and more NGOs and also people saying that Moria should be evacuated, and you're not helping by being there. What is your opinion on that, guys?
Yeah, I mean, there's been a call for action to evacuate Moria for some time, of course, because it's hell on earth, and we support that concept that Moria doesn't exist for sure. For us, we're busy not just in Athens, in Lesbos. We're busy on Samos. We've been busy in other pieces of other parts of Greece, and for us the call specifically for Moria to be evacuated is a little bit too narrow. We don't agree that people are in these conditions. We don't agree with the way that they're handling the asylum process. We fundamentally think that there needs to be a massive call to action with Europe. And I think there was a meeting today. I don't know the details because I've been here, but there's a meeting going on today to try and stimulate other countries to do this. I think what we've done from day one has been focused on emergency relief and helping the people on the ground. And this is our priority. And whilst we support the concept of closing a camp and evacuating people to somewhere and to the mainland in Greece is absolutely not an option, because it's really not a holiday park in Athens at the moment. We want to stay that we're just helping people on the ground, and that's really the main efforts of movement on the ground. And whilst we support the idea, we don't believe, and we've lost a little bit of faith in the idea of signing pieces of paper, or signing petitions, or lobbying the government, etc. We've had them all here, Lucien. We've had every single member of the government here. They've seen it all with their own eyes, and it never changed anything. So our focus is really about giving people the help they need, giving them the aid they need, trying to make their conditions as good as it possibly can, while the immigration process, slowly gets its act in order.
Yeah, and if I can add to that, Lucien, because I think it's a very important subject that you touch on, and today, of course, the EU has come out with a migration pact. I don't have all the details yet, but I've scanned some articles. We've been advocating for an equal share of the burden that countries like Greece and Italy are facing in the past 5 years to EU member states. That is something that we've been talking to politicians, talking to EU member states, talking to, like Charlie said, to members of parliament that we invited to come and see the situation. And it is an unsustainable situation to keep Greece responsible for. So in that sense, I think we all have the same goal of having those people not on those islands. The reality is of the past 5 years that there's just political unwillingness in Europe that keeps those people there, whether it's an EU-Turkey deal, whether it's political agendas. And therefore, we decided at a certain point that campaigning and advocating is not our core thing to do, but is, as long as the reality there and that suffering of people and also suffering of the locals, if we can relieve that, that's our mandate. And that's why Movement on the Ground has been working so hard for the past 5 years to bring all parties to the table, understanding that there is a different approach, the camp-to-campus philosophy, that can be a sustainable solution to this European dilemma.
Yeah, because we saw also in the news that a large group of refugees don't want to go back to camp. They want to stay outside the camp. And also the locals were demanding and protesting against building a new camp. Is that the answer to that? Is that the answer to the refugees and to the locals, the camp-to-camp model?
I'm not sure if that's the answer, but it's very clear that no one wants to stay on the islands. No one wants to be imprisoned or being forced to be in a camp situation. That goes for the local Greek, that goes for the NGOs, and in the first place, that goes for the people on the flight themselves. The reality is that people are not being evacuated. That hasn't happened. I mean, this is the largest fire that we had, but we've had multiple fires. We had loss of lives. We had very dangerous and perilous winters that costs lives. And therefore, the only alternative for the people is to be moved out of the streets, unprotected, into this temporary facility. And like Charlie said, we don't know how temporary this is. This might take longer than we all want. And therefore, we are there to make the best out of the situation for the people, with the people.
Yeah, and Adil, also today the European Commission came with some news around how to accelerate the procedure and a new EU migration plan. What did came out? I heard in the news this morning that they want to speed up the procedure to 5 days, which is, I think, very ambitious. Are there any other things to mention from that?
Lucien, like I said, I haven't read all the details, but normally I'm a very positive person, but I'm very cynical when it comes to the vision that the European has shown in the past 5 years. Yeah. I mean, there must be a very clear division of the burden in Greece, and that asks for action. Less meetings and action. And I'm not sure if that's going to happen after today's announcements.
Also, the EU will evacuate 500 unoccupied children. The Netherlands is willing to pick up 100. However, that number, as already mentioned, will be deducted from the number that the Netherlands already was about to pick up. What is Movement on the Ground's view on that?
Yeah, good question. What I get upset about is the number of 50, 100, 500, 1,000. I think, for me personally, I think we're talking a little bit about the wrong thing here. This situation shouldn't be here. There shouldn't have been people living in these conditions that we're here in Moria specifically ever. Nobody, not one person at all, ever. And this is speaking as a European, and this is really why I joined Movement on the Ground, because I felt this is happening in Europe, and I'm a European person. I would love that there's nobody here, and I think we've called for action many times that this situation ends. So I personally think, okay, you move some people around, but what about the rest of the people? And why are these people in this situation in the first place? Why are we why is this war even happening? I mean, why, you know, this whole refugee crisis is not being handled as a European country. The Northern European countries, where of course we're from, you know, are pushing it all down to the Southern European countries, and it's really not fair for the locals here, for the systems here. You know, they're at overcapacity, and I guess what we're trying to do is we're trying to focus on, you know, the reality on the ground, and we just don't believe that these call to actions are going to make a difference. And you've seen it now. I mean, you know, this whole place is burnt to the ground. People were living on the side of a road for 3 or 4 days, and even still, the only concession that my adopted country, which I love to bits, has done is use 100 people from the 500 that they'd already agreed to take to bring them to the country. And, you know, I would rather, I'm a bit of a realist, and unfortunately this is, you know, let's work with reality, because they're not going to change their mind. I mean, if they're not going to change their mind after this, then, you know, so what we're trying to do here is help them where we can. We believe that we talked about it earlier, but we should maybe explain a bit. The camp to campus philosophy is really about empowering the resident community. They're in a camp for a long time. You know, the average length of stay in a refugee camp is years and years. In Europe, it's also years and years. It's far too long. We want to use that time while they're here, while they're going through their immigration process, to try and see if we can add skills to their current skills, build communities, help them get over past experiences, help them make new connections, and help them integrate and be ready for integration. So a pre-integration process is what the camp to campus philosophy is. And what we've done here for us is the second camp where we've implemented this. The first one was in Karatepe, which is also in Lesbos. Moria was the second place we did it. We really feel now that we've got enough evidence to show that by activating the community, by engaging with them, by inspiring them, by treating them with dignity, by helping them where we can, by making them part of the team and part of the recreation or the building process, you're enabling people, and you're getting them ready for the next step in their journey. And that's really our focus, you know. So yeah, I admire the hope and the wishes of you know, bringing 500 people to Holland or to wherever and getting them out of this hellhole. But I don't see it happening. And moving on the ground, we've decided to stick to, you know, staying out of politics where we can, and focusing on just helping
On the ground, on the action, on doing things. So Adil, how are you doing that then from an HQ in Amsterdam?
Well, I was there 2 weeks ago, and like Charlie, overwhelmed by emotions being there.
Yeah.
I mean, we've put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, not us as an organization, but so many local Greeks, so many residents from all different countries, and to see that all burn down to ashes is a big blow. Nevertheless, I came very inspired back to see also and to feel that there are a lot of people ready to make again the best out of the most shitty situation that you can imagine. And I think one of our core values at Movement on the Ground is to stop seeing people for the victims, stop seeing people for the suffering that obviously they are going through, but start investing in these people on a very compassionate level. Because we've seen in the past year that when you invest, what you invest in people, you get back in unity, in community, in hope, in trust. So yes, I'm here in Amsterdam, and actually very much energized to see how much work has been done even after the fire by the residents themselves, by even Greeks that send me text messages. Hey guys, do you need help? By colleague NGOs that are supporting us, up to the international NGOs, UNHCR, the Red Cross, IRC, all these NGOs that are, and I think that's the message that I would like to bring across. If there has been any moment in the past 5 years of our existence and being on Lesbos where we can show that change can be done, this is the moment, and I can feel it. The cooperation and the collaboration from all kinds of actors on the ground is unprecedented. So I hope this is an opportunity to show what's possible rather than to be cynical of what's not possible.
Yeah.
If I may add to that, Luce, what I've seen as well the last few days that I've been here is I have never experienced this. You know, the bigger NGOs, you know, the international NGOs, the people you expect, are working together. The smaller NGOs like us are really clubbing together. You know, there is a big will. The Greek government are really keen. They're aware that, and this is the good thing about this situation, you know, all world eyes are focused on the Greek government, the UNHCR, all the EU response, etc. All efforts are being made. They cannot and they will not create another Moria. They know that that didn't work. It was unacceptable, and it was a failed experiment or whatever it was, failed project. You know, so everybody is really. And everybody I've spoken to, every single thing that I've seen on the ground in the new camp is all focused on making the situation as good as it can be. You know, and that's a surprise because it's a pretty right-wing government in the Greece at the moment. To be honest, they're realizing that, you know, the closed camps or prisons, that doesn't make any sense. They're making sure that they've got infrastructure there. They're trying to put facilities in there. They understand that if they're able to provide facilities, education, learning facilities, skills, and you know, encourage skills to be created and to be grown, etc., is the only solution. So there's a lot of I really have a lot of hope that there's going to be you know, this is an opportunity.
Mind shift.
And yeah, exactly, yeah, it's
How do you get to, because movement on the ground is really into action, and the camp to campus model is your model for movement on the ground. How do we get this spread out also to other camps? How do we make sure that this model has been picked up?
Yeah, that's what our moonshot is, of course. You know, we're doing it many ways. I mean, we started off with Karatepe, of course, where we provided about 60, 70, 80% of all the services there. You know, we fine-tuned the camp to campus model. I think we started that in the Olive Grove here, and what we did here, we got all the attention of the big actors. You know, in those days, they didn't really want to work with us. They were looking at us, who are these crazy Dutch guys and stuff like that, you know, but we've able to prove that we are running this camp at a fraction of the cost of a normal camp. And now when you translate that to the new camp, the mindset, they're all aware that they can't afford, they physically can't do what they want to do with the old model. And that's really where they're asking us to play a role. You know, there's been a very concrete call to action to see if we can do our thing, activate the community, get involved from the beginning, and really try and inspire the community to be part of the process. And we think that that's the right thing to do because we've seen the benefits for the community, for the people on the ground. And so we feel that that's the right thing to do. And we hope, of course, that with this new process that we're able to, at the end of it, show the powers to be that this is the best way to do it, treating people with respect and dignity, empowering them, working with the locals. And we hope that this model, of course, will be replicated throughout the world. And that's our...
Yeah, and we're exploring at this moment with all the insights and the learnings and the best practices that we've had in the past 5 years. We're exploring also a platform where we hopefully can launch a movement academy, where everyone it's going to be an open platform where everyone can contribute, but also learn and be educated in the camp to campus philosophy. And hopefully our philosophy and knowledge will be widespread to all colleagues and actors in the field, Lucien.
And Lucien, maybe it's a good bridge because I've got somebody I've just seen walk down here, one of our head of mission here who is running the camp here, Ali. And this is a good example of the camp to campus philosophy and also the academy that we want to do. You know, if the academy is in place, I guess Ali's almost, come and stand beside me, Ali. Ali's almost graduated from the camp to campus philosophy. We met him.
Hello,
God, we have to move the camera.
Hey, man.
He's a tall guy. Look.
Hello.
What's up,
Hey.
buddy?
There's someone here next to me is really getting crazy that you are here as well. Linda says hello.
Ali, maybe you want to tell everybody your story and how you came to join us.
Yeah, sure. So My name is Ali. I'm from Syria. I arrived here 2016. I arrived here as a refugee, looking for a safe place to be and survive like anyone else. I end up here in Moria camp. I was resident from Moria. I was living here before back then. Not too many organization and not too many people are really doing too many things in the ground. I experienced, of course, difficult time back then, and I really felt what these people uh, felt right now. Like example, the people were in the street or people moved to other place, etc. So I was in that position back in the days, and until when I got my asylum, I left to my family. To Germany, and I decided to be back and to be part of movement on the ground because I believe the movement on the ground inspiring organization, and we could make different and change things to better direction. So I chose to be with movement on the ground and help the people. So we start in the all of growth
Fantastic, man.
2018, earlier 17. I joined 2018 with movement on the ground, and up to now, so we did a lot of change, and we did big impact during this time over here. We help so many people, we support so many vulnerable people, children, kids, women, single man, of course. So we did so many beautiful things, and I'm still excited to go on and do more things with movement on the ground because I believe in this mission. I believe in this opportunity to help another people, because life is not about only me or other a few people. It's about all of us. The world is for everybody, and we have to respect each other and make sure we all live in dignified way because we all deserve to have a good place to live.
Hmm. That's beautiful,
And
man. And especially going back there and put
can
your effort in
imagine
it. It's
who's
a
in the
beautiful
room with
story.
you at the moment, Lucien, falling on the ground. But
Everyone
Ali,
here.
you were here on the night that this place caught fire. There was a couple of circumstances around that led up to the frustration. Maybe you can
Yeah.
talk us a little bit about.
So the Moria camp has been in lockdown since almost 6 months. Coronavirus arrived to the island as well. Some people get positive cases here. People really afraid. As well, they cut the cash program for the people, so like lower number for like the program for the money for the people receiving from UNHCR. So people building like a lot of tension from many different directions. People being here since as well long time ago. So we just here, and it was a riot first, and then after it's gonna be fire. It was situation between the police and the people from the camp, and then we start seeing fires around the area, not in the camp back then, like in other location close to the streets, up in the mountain, and then the fire get bigger and bigger, and as well in other
So it was windy, yeah?
locations. It was really really
Yeah.
windy, and it's get very fast, and other firefighters there was in another location in the island, so not all of them are here, so they couldn't control the fire in the same moment.
Yeah. We go quickly also to some questions from the audience that are coming in right now, and I really want to encourage everyone who's watching to also now with new people on the screen to ask your questions, because then I can ask them to the guys. First one from Kim Lo Gis from Moko Museum. Thank you for watching. What are the first things you need for winter?
Winter's coming, yeah. Winter's coming is a recurring theme. Kim, good question. We've been working in the camp. Ali was in the camp setting up the first tents there with the government 10 days ago. The new camp has got very much better basic infrastructure, but it's still a long way for being ready from winter. They are really aware of it, Kim. So the government and the infrastructure departments there are really working full steam ahead to try and make the waterways, make sure the water doesn't go into tents, etc. There's tractors and diggers and cranes and bulldozers working all the time, but there's a plan to replace the current tents with proper winterization tents. There's a plan, of course, for better water and better electricity, better heating to come on board. You know, what we did here was winterize our zone, and then we provided pallets for people just living in other parts of the ground here. But I think the focus for the new camp is really doing what we can to help prepare the residents. You know, it gets really cold here in winter. It's still pretty warm at night at the moment, but we expect the beginning of October it starts to get really cold. And then you can expect it to drop below freezing around about Christmas time. So it's going to be focusing on electrical infrastructure, making sure the water's available all the time to them. You know, we're going to be making sure that the food lines are functioning properly. That's what we've been really focusing on the last few days, making sure that people trust that they're going to get fed each and every day. So there's no panic, there's no stress there, etc. And making sure that the basic infrastructure and the basic facilities are. That's absolutely the focus at the moment.
And
the next stage is
concrete for the audience watching is does it translate in money? Another question, for example, that's coming in is, in addition to donating financial support, what else can companies or individuals do? Help volunteering, gathering goods or supplies? Is that an option?
yeah, sure.
Yeah, for sure. I think companies that are specialized, for example, in outdoor and in camping outside, companies, for example, that have stocks of thermal underwear, small electric heaters that we can distribute. I think there are a lot of, and I think that's also the power of movement on the ground. We also try to find experts in the market, in the corporate industry that have a certain expertise or a certain product that can be very valuable for winterization, these people. So we are definitely open to suggestions, yes.
What is the most important thing for you guys in terms of donations? Is that volunteers? Is it money? Is it knowledge? Is it network? How can people help movement on the ground?
Good question, Lucien. You know, we're a small foundation. We're funded by private donations and corporate donations. You know, we're very lucky that we've got a lot of supporters out there, and especially in these hard times, we're getting a lot of donations in. Every single penny is really helping. It's really adding value to everybody's lives here. You know, whether that's 25 euros and enabling us to provide emergency products for them on the ground, or a few hundred or a few thousand euros, it's really well spent. You know, as part of TSH that we've held 2 or 3 corporate events where we've taken a number of people to Samos, to Lesbos as a corporate company. You know that we've got good friends on ULC, the Hoytink Foundation, etc. You know, very good supporters, Mocha Museum, who are really helping us by bringing also their teams with a bag of cash as well, which is spent here. So there's a lot of things that we can facilitate for the corporate world, which ties into team building and the CSR projects, etc. You know, we've got millions of projects where, unfortunately, we've got a building here which was donated there, this little green one there, which was our woodwork and a steel factory, which the community built. They built all of this. They built this beautiful little curved bench, etc. They built dozens of things around this space. Those type of facilities are actually really urgently required in the new camp, so that they can start making trolleys. One of the main government officials today said we need the little wheels that are on the wheelie bins, because all the wheelie bins are being stolen of wheels around Lesbos. So the rubbish guys are going up to people's houses or offices, and they can't move the wheelie bins because people are nicking the wheels to build their own carts to carry bottles of water around, you know. So it's pretty basic, to be honest. Anything is necessary. Everything is necessary.
And another question coming in from Bibi, and probably also Ali can answer that one. Next to tangible necessaries, what are the priorities for emotional and mental support of the residents right now?
Well, I think the most important things right now to provide for the people the best they can get. So to make sure they are living in good living conditions, people live in dignified way, because when they got this condition, they will be less stressed and less upset. For sure, we will not be able, unfortunately, to solve everything, because, you know, people want to go, people want to travel, people have goals in life. But I mean, to talk about basic things, people where they are living, to make sure they are living in the best way could be.
Yeah.
So
this is still you know, this is like being back 5 years ago, Lucien. You know, so the main goal is the very basic requirements: shelter, food, warmth, and security. And where you like the new camp or don't like the new camp, but I can guarantee it's a hell of a lot better than sleeping on the side of a road. There's still a lot of issues that need to be done, but it's been up there for 10 days. So what we've seen and what we've been working, and Ali's been leading the charge there, there are big improvements being made every single hour there. But the emotional support and all the extra facilities and all the extra activities that we offer, they're on our radar. They will be requested. They have been requested, but at the right time.
Yeah. If the
Yes, and
audience,
Lucien, just maybe an important addition to that question, because you're talking about emotional support and of course also mental health and well-being for the people that already were traumatized and of course are adding trauma to their well-being. We're in constant conversation also with medical actors, whether it's Doctors Without Borders, whether it's other Health Point Foundation or even Stichting Bootvluchteling, who are really experts and professionals when it comes to mental well-being. So we're advocating also with authorities, and we're in constant coordinating meetings together with them to see how we can best support the community when it comes to mental health and well-being.
we see now also a picture of the new camp, the big UNHCR tents for the audience. And also, audience, if you'd like to make a donation, please do it via www.movementunderground.com. The address is now right here below me, where you can make your donation directly on the website. Adil, what is the ambition, the future ambition of Movement Underground? Of course, get these people through winter, build up this new camp, get things off the ground again, but watching in the future, what is the ambition there?
Well, I think, and maybe I'm too ideologist, but let's just say it.
Let's go for that.
Ambition, yeah, the future ambition would be that we would not be needed on the ground. I mean, that's really the future ambition of Movement Underground, that Camp to Campus would be a self-sustainable, self-manageable environment, a healing environment with a holistic approach, where the residents themselves feel enabled and empowered, together with the local Greeks, in managing and living in a community. That's the ideal situation, and we're just there to enable this. We're just there to put structure and basics to make sure that eventually we would not be needed.
Yeah. Same for you, Charlie?
Yeah, I think so. And the way we do that for us is really proving the camp to campus, and it's not us proving, because us proving something is pointless. We need to build a coalition of partners with international NGOs, local NGOs, and with governments to show them together the philosophy of camp to campus, and call it whatever you want. To be honest, we really don't care. This is what we call it: the philosophy of activating the community and integrating them, respecting them, treating them as the human capital that they are, and asking them to help build the environment that they're in, temporarily or long term. I mean, for us, it's irrelevant. That's we need to build that model. We need to show that case is viable, and hopefully the other organizations can take that and start implementing it around the globe. That's how we do this.
Maybe we need to make it a bit more concrete also for the audience. A question new coming in from Angela is, what does dignified mean to you, and what's the difference with just a camp? How does Movement on the Ground make a difference? So can we make it a bit more concrete how that day, for example, would look like?
Good question. I mean, if I talk about my own experience, so one of the first things that we did was giving people dry clothes. And all of us here have given thousands of people dry clothes when they landed from the boats, and that's pretty undignified. This is sometimes the last possession that people have, and you're choosing clothes for them to do. There's such a simple thing of enabling someone to choose their own clothes as opposed to giving them clothes. It sounds such a little thing, but if you take that as treating people with dignity and giving them the space to be able to make their own choices, and whether that's choosing to cook, whether that's choosing to get their clothes, whether it's choosing to partake in activities, whether it's choosing to learn with the digital learning labs, taking part in recycling, taking the kids to football programs that we do with Barcelona, learning how to build seats and metalwork, etc. There's so many levels that just don't really happen in the traditional refugee camp. There it's more about what is better for the system, what is better for making sure these people are going through in as streamlined as possible and as little contact with them as possible, because that's where costs are made and energy is given out. So for us, I think it's really trying to give people the space to make their own choices. And that is, Adil, maybe you want to add to that, Ali?
Yeah, I've got some, but I'm very curious also to what Ali has to say about this. He's been in this situation more and knows more than anyone. But I remember quoting myself: we're not giving dignity. I think that dignity is one of the last things that people still have. If you talk to them, and you sit with them, and you see what kind of situation they are living, and they still find the hospitality to ask you in their tent for a cup of tea, for me, that's dignity. We're not giving them dignity. It's the last thing that they still have. We're just giving them what they deserve as a basic need, you know, infrastructure, a shower, proper food, some warmth, and some compassion. But we're not giving them dignity. That's the last thing that they still have. This is what I've learned in the past 5 years being on Lesbos, around and surrounded by these people, full of dignity.
Another question is, thank you guys, is coming in from George Sebastian. George Sebastian is a student currently living in the student hotel. Hey, I'm Sebastian, I'm living in the student hotel. I was wondering, again, an EU question, why the EU government has been so slow to do anything about the migrant crisis. And why is there such a strong opposition to accepting more migrants when it's a rather small amount in a country? Yeah, well, I think that answer has already been slightly given. And it's also not a really strong focus point of movement on the ground, right?
Yeah, we also don't know. You know, I mean, I guess on one side I can understand that people are worried about overcrowding and all these type of things, but you know, the current wars that are going on that are affecting Europe with the refugee crisis, for me is just a warm up. You know, and we're facing a much larger migration crisis due to environmental catastrophe. You know, if you believe in all the global warming and you believe in the sea levels are going to rise, you know, Holland itself is going to be in big trouble in the next 50 to 100 years. There's many parts and millions of people all around the world that are going to be affected by this. So we as a globe need to think about how we're going to handle this, and then indeed the idea that, you know, certain number of people is a max limit. I think we're going to be struggling in the future. But
Rick is asking, how is sharing of information and resources between all the actors on the ground going, from a movement on the ground perspective and also generally speaking? So how are you work together, collaborate?
Yeah, we collaborate pretty well. I mean, we try to work with as many actors as possible. You know, one of the key cornerstones of movement on the ground is filling in the gaps. It was what we did when we did a Sea to Safety campaign, which was really working with local NGOs who were bringing people in, and we were filling the gaps in that the two NGOs were missing, etc. But we did that, of course, by collaborating with them and understanding what their needs were. And that's one of the cornerstones for movement. And you saw certainly historically that some of the bigger NGOs were not really into that. You know, it's quite an island thing. But I think some of the smaller NGOs, and especially the Dutch NGOs, we get on pretty well. You're handling this day to day. What's your
Well, we really have good communication with most of the actors in the island. We work closely together with people. We like to be close with any other people. We like to put our hands with other people to make things done. Mm-hmm. So we have good collaboration with many actors, and especially as well in the emergency statement lately, we haven't done so many things together with other people. Example, in the road, during the operation as well inside the camp, building the tents or setting up food distribution, housing, shelter allocation, check where is the vulnerable people, allocate them in one location to get transfer soon. So of course, this will not be able to do it by ourselves alone. Of course, it's done with the actors and colleagues, NGOs, together with them to do this happen.
Adil, Christina is asking if she can volunteer in Amsterdam with you there. I don't know if she's asking it because of you or no.
I don't know which Christina this is, but I mean, we can always use hands, not only on the islands, but we have got an amazing team in Amsterdam of people, but we also have volunteers that come for a day or two, or just work on a project. I mean, like-minded people with the heart in the right place are always welcome to join our movement.
And I met the current international volunteer team. They've been here now with us for the last 3 weeks. They've got another week and a half or something to go. And they've had a real roller coaster of a volunteering trip. They saw the pretty calm situation of the olive grove. Then, of course, hell broke out with the fire, and then the setting up of the new camp. And their job today is working in the housing department. So we're working with other actors, as Ali said, helping people move into their new tents. And sometimes that's pretty stressful. So they're really on the front line. They're doing an amazing job. They haven't slept or worked, got a rest for quite a while, but they're doing really well.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for this moment, Charlie. Till when are you there, and how's the day tomorrow look like?
Yeah, I'm back tomorrow, unfortunately, but fortunately for the student hotel, I'm back in meetings all day. I'm self-isolating, of course, coming back from Greece, so I have the joy of sitting behind a Zoom computer for probably 10 hours of tomorrow. But I'll be glad to be back. I get a lot of energy from being here, you know, working alongside Ali and the rest of the team, and indeed seeing the most positive part of humanity, which you see at every corner, is just incredible. So I get a huge amount of energy from being here. I think Adil and I are trying to do a bit of a tag team for this difficult.
Yes.
And for you, Adil, how does it work for these volunteers who want to work in Amsterdam? Is just apply to the website? What do they have
Yes,
to do?
of course. I mean, we have an application form and a procedure. So please go to movementontheground.com. Fill in some details, and our team is ready to get in touch with you guys. It might take a little bit longer than normally and usually, because they're really completely tied up with the situation on the ground and the emergency response, but we will always get back to everyone that sends us a comment or applies through the website. So please do so. We need you. We need everyone at this moment in these times.
Yeah, and at the same
And
time,
I actually,
yeah,
sorry.
No,
go ahead.
no, yeah, I just want to make a call again about the donation. But you.
Oh, okay. Well, go ahead. Well, that's first things first. Go ahead.
And also for the donation, movementontheground.com/donation. On the website, you can make a donation directly there. Adil, back to you.
Yeah, no, I mean, having Ali over there, which really is the symbol of where Movement on the Ground stands. So, you know, when it comes to enabling people from a situation that you don't want them to be, to where Ali stands now. I'm really curious, Ali, in this situation. I mean, you've seen more than we've seen. I mean, we're so humbled to have you on board, leading the situation with coordinators from around the globe. What would you like to share with the world about the situation, where you are now, how you feel? Which message would you like to bring across with the reality there?
With reality. So let's talk about reality. The first important things I would like to share, and I respect all the opinions for all the people all over the world, but I believe if we really want to make a change, the most important things we should focus at to make sure the war and fighting in other countries should be stopped. The creating guns factories to kill people, these places should not be exist anymore. To not have refugees, to not have people fighting for oil or diesel to make people refugees and live to other countries. So we need peace. I'm talking now as Ali, not as Movement on the Ground. So as Ali, refugee from Syria, I believe we need our country. I will be the first guy returning back to my home when my country will be safe. I didn't choose to be here, but I have to be here. And I didn't come to look for a place or house or a job or whatever. I got everything back home before the war. Me and all my people and all the Syrian people, and I'm sure all the other countries as well, the people are fleeing away from a war or economic problem or whatever. So we should focus at people should return back to the houses, to the country where they come from safely. Then we will not be, this places doesn't need it anymore. Plus, any help now, it's really needed. Any support now, it's very helpful because we are still in an emergency state, and anything come across, it's very important because we really need any help. Could you guys can help us? Then we can continue our mission and help the people over here.
I think nothing can top that. Thank you so much, Ali. Thank you
Thanks
so
for
much.
having us, Lucien. Thanks
Sorry?
for the invite. Thanks for having us.
No, thank you guys. And guys, once again, go to the website, Movement Underground, really action on the floor, make it happen and improve those lives over there. Guys, keep up the good work. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lucien, for hosting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Keep up the good work there.
Make
Good
your
luck, guys.
donation, movementunderground.com.
Stay in touch.
Ciao, guys. Thank you for watching.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Mooi.